the people out there. This is my first live video on the Google Hangout. So I want to get into the topic about um, the concept of ignorance versus intelligence. So what I want to do is I want to elaborate and discuss on the current issues that's taking place within our community regarding to this whole concept dealing with ignorance and also not only the ignorance but also the lack of intelligence that we have. So the question becomes, is it ignorance versus intelligence? Ignorance versus intelligence, which one is more important? Which one is more significant than the other? And why is one more significant than why one seems to be more significant? Why one is the benefactor? So I want to discuss on various topics about propaganda, popularity contests, and this whole issue that's going on. So if you guys can give me one moment and let me get everything organized over here, because I'm still learning and configuring. So just give me a few moments, please. Okay, so I'm back. Okay, I'm trying to figure out how to get this off of here. Okay, let me close that out. So, okay. Oh my goodness, how do I get this off of here? Okay. So what I'll deal with that later. But yeah, let's get to the topic. So we're gonna deal with what is ignorance. Okay, there we go. Now that's more like it. That is more like it. All right. So now we're gonna look at the terminology of the word ignorance so we can be on the same page. And as you can see, I am on the thesaurus.com. Hold on, let me. Okay, let me type in the definition. All right, let me get this over here. Okay, so the word ignorance, okay, which comes from the word ignorant. Ignorant means the state. Ignorance means the state or fact of being ignorant, lack of knowledge, learning information. Right. So let's look up the word ignorant. Gosh, okay. So hold on. Oops. Okay. So what does the word ignorant means? Lack in knowledge or training, unlearned, lacking knowledge or information as to a particular subject or fact, uninformed, unaware, due to or showing lack of knowledge or training. Now that's what the word ignorant means. So basically, you just have this awareness and you have a lack of knowledge or you have lack of training. Um, it could be in any subject field or it can pertain to anything. So when you're lacking in something, especially when it comes to mannerism and character and behavior, that shows your state of ignorance. Now, let's get to the word intelligence. Okay, let me okay, I'm trying to present this to everybody. Let's look at the word intelligence. Okay, so now what does the word intelligence mean? Capacity for learning, reasoning, understanding, and similar forms of mental activity, aptitude, and grasping truths, relationships, facts, meaning. Manifestation of a high mental capacity, the faculty of understanding, knowledge of an event, circumstance, receive or impart news, information. The gathering or distribution of information, especially secret information. Okay. Government information by an enemy or a potential enemy. The evaluated conclusion drawn from such information and organization or agency engaged in gathering such information. Now, that's what intelligence is. But if you really want to break it down, let's go to the source. Right. Let's break it down. And okay. So, as you can see, intelligence. Now, you can see all the synonyms, right? Okay. Now, let's look at a couple of synonyms: judgment, perception, quickness, right? To perceive, understand, brain power. Okay. That's the synonym for intelligence. Smart, sagacity, reason, discernment. That's intelligence. So, intelligence basically bringing about application, okay? Applying what you know. That's what makes you intelligent. Bringing about application, applying what you know, correct? Okay, so let's get to the. Hold on. Give me one moment, guys. Okay. All right, so now let's look at the word ignorance. So now let's look at the synonym: bewilderment, disregard, illiteracy, insensitivity, blindness, coolness, darkness, dumbness, incapacity, incomprehension. Okay, let's look at some mental incapacity, lack of education, half knowledge, empty headedness in science, benightness, unscholarness. That's ignorance. And if you notice that the opposite of ignorance is intelligence. Okay? That's the antonyms. The opposite of ignorant is intelligence. Now, excuse me if it's taking me a little long because this, like I said, this is my first video that I'm doing. So, but yeah, I want to speak on this. Oops. Okay, let me get off of here. Okay, so I want to speak on this because this is very important. See, many of us don't realize this. We don't realize that, people are, as African Americans, there's a lot of stereotypes going around about us. If you notice, like, we are caught up in the social stigma. And what do I mean by social stigma? Let's look up the word stigma. All right. Let's look up social stigma. Okay. Screen share. All right. There we go. Now, let's look up the word stigma. Social stigma is the disapproval or discrimination against a person based on a perceivable social characteristic that serves to distinguish them from other members of a society. Social stigma are commonly related to culture, gender, race, intelligence, and health. So, with that being said, based on our race and based on what we have been through, not only in this country, but also just in overall in general, right? We have been labeled as such. So by us dealing with the labeling, right, it comes down, as a matter of fact, here's a diaphragm. Here's a diagram for this, a good example. Okay, let me. All right, labeling, stereotype, divisions, us versus them, lose social status, discrimination. So now, when you have these reality shows going on, right, what taking place, it brings about some form of discrimination, against everyone else. So let's say, for example, when we watch these so-called shows like Love and Hip Hop and Housewives and uh, what is it, basketball, Wives of the Basketball House, whatever it's called, all these different reality shows. Okay, have you noticed that these people, they carry on such a type of behavior? They're doing it because, for one, it's deal with propaganda. Now, before I go into propaganda, but let's make this clear. When you're dealing with reality show, the goal of the reality show is to get the viewers up. So when you do certain things or carry on certain type of dramatic behavior, that brings about viewers and that grabs people's attention. That makes people want to gravitate and watch more. And yeah, that makes people want to watch more and pay attention to, like what's going on and what you're doing, etc. So people are gonna like gravitate towards these things because the purpose is to catch, to get people distracted and bring about viewership. So let's go ahead. So yeah, this is a great example. I like this diaphragm right here. Excuse me, this diagram. I like how this picture shows how the stigmas works. So what you're dealing with is the social stigma, and you're dealing with the concept of intelligence versus ignorance when it comes to us. So we're gonna get into talk about the recent events that have been going on lately that's been taking place in the community and whatnot. But let me go ahead and let's look up the word propaganda so everybody can really see where I'm going with this. So hold on. Let me go ahead. Let's look at propaganda. Okay. Okay, propaganda. Information, especially of a biased or misleading nature, used to promote or publicize a particular political cause or point of view. Let me read that again. Information, right? Especially of a bias. And what it means to be biased means to be opinionated, right? Or to discriminate, or misleading nature used to promote or publicize a particular political cause or point of view. So, yes, do they use propaganda in politics? Yes, because they have to get more people engaged. That's the way they can increase more vote. That's the way politicians can. That's how politicians get more people to vote for them by putting on propaganda. And so basically, let's break it down. The whole concept of propaganda is to exaggerate. So to make it simple, it's like part of the truth with lies added on to it. Again, part of the truth with extra stuff added on to it to exaggerate or to make things more than what they are. Basically like a straw man. So you just take a piece of information or a piece of take a piece of information and you just stretch it out, make it more than what it really is. So basically, that's propaganda. Okay. So now, oh, what are the 7 techniques of propaganda? Here it goes. Now let's look this up. Let's click on this. Okay. We getting somewhere now. The 7, let me see if I can. See some. Let me see some. Hold on. We get somewhere now. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna work on that. I'm gonna work on the screening later, but anyways, okay. So here's the 7 technique of propaganda, as you can see. So the first one is okay, and let me read this article. It comes from classroom.synonym.com. What are the 7 techniques of propaganda? And it says it's easy. It's easy to choose a side when lots of information on a subject you care about is tossed at you. Sometimes it's true. It may even be false, but regardless, propaganda to push an issue both positively and negatively is everywhere. Right? During World War One, the use of propaganda emerged along with the rise of modern media outlets. Propaganda spreading ideas, information, or rumors for a political purpose was refined into an art. It was refined into an art. Now, let's read this. In 1937, Edward Fellini helped establish the Institution of Propaganda Analysis. The goal of this institution was to help educate the American public and to understand the techniques by which propaganda is spread. Fellini and his fellow researchers identified 7 techniques used by propagandists. Okay, let me pause right there. Just give me one moment, you guys. One more time. All right. Excuse me, apologize about that. But yeah, let me continue where I was reading off. Um where did I leave off? Okay, the goal of this institution was to help educate the American public to understand the techniques by which propaganda is spread. Fellini and his fellow researcher identified 7 techniques used by propagandists. Check this out, because this is important. All right. Um, the first one is name calling. Woo! We familiar with that, right? Using negative or discriminatory words, propagandists arouse suspicion and prejudice. The goal is to create an overall dislike of a group of people, so verbally attacking their beliefs, institution, leaders, or religion is fair game. Name calling is often used in ridiculing cartoons or writing. That's one way to get your viewership up. Now here's another one. Glittering generalities. Glittering generalities. Using slogan or simple catchphrases, propagandists make generalized statements attractive to their audience. Usually, these statements involve ideas of love, honor, glory, peace, family values, freedom, patriotism, anything general enough to inspire pride. These statements usually say very little, so they cannot be proved or disproved. So, if anybody wants to represent something, right, they're going to use phrases that people are familiar with, right? And they're going to use symbolism to identify something or to, to represent their position where they stand on. Okay, so this is called glittering generalities. Excuse me. All right, transfer. A transfer associate A transfer associates a reverent symbol with an idea of the propagandist wants to promote. If an ideal can be linked with, say, a flag, it has a greater chance of winning popular approval. The stir of emotions makes it difficult for people to clear their minds and think critically. Say that again. The stir of emotions makes it difficult for people to clear their minds and think critically. So, in other words, appeal to the emotions. That's what it's called. Okay. So if I want to use a symbol, right? Let's say it's someone from the Ku Klux Klan used the swastika symbol. All right. They use the swastika symbol. What do they do? What does that mean to somebody that's African American that looks at that swastika symbol? That can mean something very negative. That could remind them of racism. That could remind them of hate crime, etc. So when a person or when a black person look at the swastika symbol, they automatically think about racism. So they're not going to be able to think critically. They're not going to be clear in their minds right there and there because they're going to be caught into their emotions. Okay. Now check this out. The next one is called testimonial. A testimonial makes an association between a respected or authoritative person and the cause. The hope is that the respected person will lead others to follow his ideas. It is similar to a celebrity endorsement of a product. Basically selling yourself. So if I make a testimony, right, or something that seems to be very inspirational, my goal is hopefully I can get people to gravitate towards me and follow me or follow what my ideas are so I can be able to market myself more. So it's like endorsement is basically what marketing. Okay, plain folks. The goal of this technique is to convince the audience that the spokesman is like them and shares their woes and concerns. Using plain language and mannerism, he is able to build trust by his followers. So basically, you're grabbing onto people's emotion. What you would do is you're trying to find some common ground where you can relate to the people, where you and the audience can relate to one another. So you're trying to gain, sympathy. And when you try to gain sympathy from the audience, you're going to use what is called plain folks, okay, or plain language, because you're trying to find that common ground and you're trying to be able to earn people's trust. So, and that happens. Okay. Bandwagon. This technique capitalizes on the human's drive to be part of a crowd, a member of the winning team, by creating the illusion that widespread support exists. Propagandists hopes that those who are in the fence will join the cause. If they refuse, this technique seeks to make them feel isolated. So, as long as I gain popularity contests, right? Knowing how to get the crowd hype, get the crowd is full of interest and feel like they want to be part of the team. Guess what? They're gonna jump in on the bandwagon because why? Individuals, people idolize that individual, so that individual becomes an idol to the crowd. So when you become an idol, right, you're going to have people that's going to be on your team. So you call that the bandwagon. Cart stacking. By using only those facts that supports their ideas. What we call that? By using only those facts that supports their ideas, propagandists can make it seem that their way is the only correct way. The aim of card stacking is for the audience to assume these facts are conclusive. By stacking cards against the truth, propagandists can control the beliefs of their audience. So that's called confirmation bias. So I'm gonna yeah. So I'm gonna pick and choose something that's going to validate my point of view. And I'm going to convince others that my beliefs, my point of view is, of course, valid. So if I can sway people, I would use this concept of card stacking. And sound like to me, card stacking is just a form of confirmation bias. So it's not what you say, it's how you say it. If you sound genuine enough, and you use bits and pieces of information, especially when it comes to scholarship, especially when you cherry picking information that's bring about feel good rhetorics or um, sway people's emotions, then that's when this concept come into play. So now you may wonder, well, what all this has to do with the topic in itself? It has a lot to do with it. Let me explain why. Let me get into the detail of why it has a lot to do with this. Because you have a case, and I'm going to go ahead and log off of here. Go ahead and log off here. Okay. All right. So you have a case where when people cannot use critical assessment, they cannot discern, right? It's so easy for individuals to get away and take advantage of people's ignorance because they don't know any better. So when you don't know any better, people can sway you any way they want you to. People can play into your emotion and prey on your intelligence, prey on your mentality. So the way to control a person's mind would be to control their emotions. And once you control their emotion, then you control their way of thinking. Okay? So in this case, a lot of times, media, it's not just media, let's just say certain people that's behind the scenes, right? That's behind the production team, that's the creator of a show or whatever it is, or creator of a platform. Their goal is to sway people, is to get people involved, is to capture people's attention. All right. So a person once asked a question: what does the concept of magic, God, and UFO all have in common? What does the concept of God and UFO all have in common? Is preying on people's ignorance. So if you tell a person that, Jesus is going to come back, etc., people are going to really believe that, and they're not using any type of discernment. They're not going to question anything. They're just going to go for it because depends on the tone of rhetoric that you're using. If it can sway people, they're going to go for it. If you tell people that the UFO exists and you come up with all these bogus claim and bogus scholarship, etc., people are going to believe that. If you do a magic trick, right, people are going to think that you actually have that natural ability to actually do the things that you're doing. Like they're going to think that you're practicing some type of, psychokinesis or anything that's dealing with making objects move, right? But they don't know that you had to be able to learn how to practice those techniques. They don't know that magic is a form of illusion. They don't realize that, because what it is, you're tricking not only the eyes, but you're also tricking the mind of the individual. So the people that are ignorant, they don't know. But the ones, let's get to the intelligence. The ones that have the intelligence, they know what's going on. They just learning they trying to figure out, well, how do I better enhance my skills? So they know what you're doing behind the scene. The person that been around a pastor for so long and know what his sermon is going to be and what he or she is going to be teaching, they already know, because they've been around. They study on your words. They study on the information. Right? The people that talk about the concept of the UFOs or the extraterrestrials or whatnot, the people that's been around it, they already know that it's not, you really can't validate that. You can't really prove it. So they already know. So that brings about the intelligence, because intelligence basically means to know and to bring about application. So Now let's get to the point of this. I really want to get into this whole concept about and I think Young Pharaoh, even though Young Pharaoh is not my favorite, but I think he did a good job in a way of explaining this. Because in his one of his videos, he mentioned about black intelligence. And he said like how most kids, when they growing up in the environment around other black people, right, they tend to be ridiculed or disrespected by their peers because they are different, because they are, much more intelligent or much more smarter. So they like to do things that nerdy kids would do. You see, so if you become a nerd and you become too intelligent, you're going to be looked at as being inferior, vulnerable, weak. But if you're one of those kids that's doing things based on your ignorance, you looked at it as being popular, you looked at it as being cool, you looked at it as being respected. So that child who was who's a prodigy, who is a genius coming up in the hood, is not going to gain as much respect as that child that's ignorance. So in other words, that child that has a lot of intelligence is going to be picked on a lot. And have you noticed that is most of the time the kids that get picked on is the ones that are very intelligent? They get picked on so much by those amongst their peers. Those who especially those that look like them. So what does this say? That for us as black people, going back to the concept of social stigma, it's cool to be ignorant, right? But it's not, but intelligent, it seems to look as being boring. So it's boring to be intelligent, but it's cool to be ignorant. It's cool to do ignorant things because intelligence don't mean anything. It doesn't have any significance to it if it's not, especially if it doesn't bring by entertainment. Now, I want to expound on this whole situation that took place with one of the current YouTuber, if you will. There was a situation where someone in the conscious community, who is supposed to be very popular in the conscious community, he got into a confrontation with another individual, and it's been going on for months and years. Okay, it got to a point where this person decided that it would be a bright idea to flex their gun in front of the camera, and now all of a sudden they dealing with the issue of the feds. You see, that's the ignorance right there, because at that point he was not using his intelligence, okay, and he was not bringing awareness to himself. He was not aware that it was going to backfire on him, that he's going to be ridiculed for that. So what you're going to see in a lot of time in the conscious community, it's a lot of that going on. It's a lot of ignorance and less intelligence. I mean, of course, people are smart. Yeah, they read a couple of books. Yeah, they can do the debates or whatnot, but their behavior, the mannerism that is being displayed, shows who they are as far as where they stand. So many do not know how to act upon the intelligence. They respond based on ignorance. Now, what's very ironic is they look up to these elders who are now ancestors, and constantly for example, they'll cite their source or cite the information, things of that nature, but they don't learn from them. Yeah, you learn based on what you done read, but you don't learn from them overall as an individual. How do you go about carrying yourself productively, especially when it comes to having debates? When we have these debates, a lot of times instead of using our logic and using our intelligence, it becomes the ignorance and emotional rebuttals. It's like me and us do not know how to humble ourselves. And this is why you got so many people from the outside world or people that's outside our race, when they see us and they see how we carry ourselves, it become entertainment to them and they won't take us seriously. Why do you think there's so many reality shows around here? Because they ain't really taking us seriously. They see that as a way of marketing tool and profiting. So they say, well, we can put them on reality TV and hey, we can make more money because there's more people that's watching this. So with that being said, if we're really about educating, right, and we're really about obtaining the knowledge or doing the knowledge, we should be able to do it in form of intelligence and not ignorance. Ignorance should not override our intelligence, because when ignorance when that comes down to that point, then nobody would acknowledge you. They would not know your intelligent side. They're going to only focus on your ignorant side. They're going to prey upon your weakness. They're going to look at your weakness. That's all they're going to focus on, because that's what you're showing, not only your peers, but the people that's the audience or those that's outside your circle. When they see you, they're going to see that, oh, you're just ignorant. They're not looking at no intelligence. So when they see your ignorance, they're not going to take it seriously. But when they see the intelligence and less ignorance, then that's when you're going to be taken more seriously. And that's how you be more respected. So the thing is, we have to learn to not only respect each other, but respect ourselves. Okay. So it's important that we know these things and we acknowledge them. And sometimes you may have to step away from those who don't benefit you, who not going to help you to get to the level that you need to be or become a much more better person. Because if their ignorance is bringing down your intelligence, then you need to separate yourself. You don't need to really affiliate with them that much. You have to say, okay, until you get ready to be a little bit more mature and be a little bit more polished about yourself, then I'm gonna let you stay over there in your lane and I'm gonna be over here, because I can't allow you to interfere. You're gonna take away my ability to think, my ability to have a peace of mind, because this is what you want to be all the time. I'm not going to play into your ignorance all day. That's how it is. I mean, that's how you got to be sometimes. You know, say something. Yeah, sometimes you have to be that way. Let me see if I can invite some people. Let me see something. All right, so let me see if I can. Hmm. All right. So yeah, let's see if I can do it on here. I don't know if I can. Okay, well, since this is my first video, I don't expect, not too many people to watch this. That's fine. That's okay. I don't really expect many people to watch this video. But um yeah, so yeah, that's the whole point. Hopefully, people benefit something off of here. I hope that if those that are watching it, that that you'll like the video. Well, now again, this is my first video, but yeah, the point is we have to be careful who we allow in our mix, because you want to be able to interact with those who are intelligent versus those who are ignorant. So if you're trying to better yourself and you're trying to get to the next level, get around people that are much more intelligent. But if you want to just continuously be unaware and act out of stupidity and just do just do ludicrous things that just don't have no significance or values to it, then your best bet is to be ignorant. Your best bet is to be ignorant, because that's all you're gonna get is your ignorance. Uh, uh-huh. Yep. Yep. So what I'm gonna do is yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and log off of here. Yep. Yeah, I'm going ahead and log off of here. But I appreciate for those that are watching. Again, I know that I'm not going to get many views on here, and hopefully this won't be my last Google Hangout that I do. So I'm trying to get a hang of this. So it's gonna take me a little minute to become more adjust to this. But yeah, so there's gonna be more videos coming soon on YouTube. Just be on the lookout for that. So again, I just want to thank you guys for tuning in, listening, watching, and with that being said, you guys have a wonderful day. May peace and power and elevation be to all of you. All right. Until next time. Deuces and that's it. Thank you.